All right, we're going to do a beginning of August fertilization on this tub. This is the platinum ricefish tub, and I've got freaking ricefish all over the property on all 30 tubs. They just show up. They're like locusts, even though I don't put them in those tubs. But this is their main source. Started with 4, and there's zillions in here, so. So this tub, I have been lax on fertilizing. So Dr. Foreman's gonna rightly so wag her finger at me. This is sunset orange loosestrife. It is a spiller plant. It gets these little orange flowers if I fertilize it. And also when the water level drops and comes back. It's an interesting observation. Great little spiller plant. Got it at the pond store a few years ago. I overwinter it in my aquarium above the water line, and it does great. Pretty good root system on it too, you see, as a filter. So I am growing it in a basket with safety orb, calcite clay, and just pea gravel. I might grow it next year in dirt, I think, because ricefish, there's probably plenty of filtration in this tub. But you can see how it's looking. Let's fertilize it. Bring everything a little closer so everyone can see what we're doing here. Using the dibber, essential tool. Get one with a metal tip if you can. Going with the Pond Tabs Junior. 250 tablets are $8. Compare that to aquarium fertilizer. The upcharge is unbelievable. It has both macro and micronutrients. The only issue is that the middle number, which is phosphorus, is going to be higher because it is designed for flowering. So I believe the number is, it's a 10-14-8 for those of you who know fertilizer. So that's nitrogen, phosphate, and potash. But it has micro and macronutrients. I mean, 250 tablets for $9 on Webs online. That's the water garden store that I really like. So this is 1/5 the concentration of a standard waterlily tablet. I'm gonna put a little safety orb, just a little bit, to fill up the hole. I sometimes use sand, swimming pool filter sand, which I started using back in 1990 when I talked about it on CompuServe. I think everyone uses it now after I started talking about it back then. So. One down, so put that there. So what I do in the summer to keep this from falling apart, let me show you. I add a couple of anti-desiccant packets from Amazon, and I add some kitty litter or calcite clay, anything to absorb the moisture. And ideally you want to keep these inside, but I do keep them in my garden shed, which is attached to my garage, and they do fine this way. But, you don't want to spend a lot of money to get powder, which if I have powder left over, which you always do, that becomes my granular fertilizer for my water lilies. So it doesn't go to waste even if you get powder. This is a neglected lizard tail. It's the American red stem Sororus. Should have been fertilizing it more too, but it looks pretty good. It's just you know, as a small structural plant. So we're going to fertilize this next. And I've got to go get more fertilizer. See you in a bit. I keep forgetting to put a glove on my guitar playing hand. My nails go to hell for my guitar playing if I don't wear a glove. And I do this, finally remembered today. Yesterday's live stream, I didn't, and my nails are in terrible shape. I know, it's a first world problem. So one of the great things about Sororus, this is the American lizard tail I just spoke about. It's an extremely versatile plant. You can put it up to 12 inches deep of water. I've had it all the way to just keeping it wet with wet feet. It'll grow in full shade and full sun. I gave Stephen P. a little piece. His is blooming for him now. And so, Stephen, I'd love to know how you're growing it. Probably in soil. I'm growing more as a filter. And the flower is what gives it its name. I like the red stem variety if you can get that. That's going to look a sharper look for your tub. But it's real versatile and planted in a tiny pot like I have here. This is a tiny 5-inch or 4-inch perforated pot. And it fits right on the shelf or in a large pot, and it does well equally. So one of the reasons why this tub has all these small pots is because I want the water lilies to spread more. This is a pickerel, and let's see which type this is. I have 6 different this is lavender pink. These flowers, you can see the one that just dead, is more of a pinkish color than a blue or a deep purple. And as you can see, I've been neglecting it. It's been strictly as a filter. You notice the roots on pickerel are black. You notice the roots on water hyacinth are also black because they're in the same family. And if you look at the flower of a water hyacinth and the flower of a pickerel, the little pickerel flowers on the stalk look like little water hyacinth flowers. So they're both pretty ancient. They're both in the same family of plants, even though their genus name is different. But this one's been neglected a bit. It should be a deeper green. Again, I'm growing it as a filter. And I'm going to do what Kelly does next year. And she's inspired me to put more of my marginals in solid pots for these ricefish tubs, because these guys will live in a toilet bowl if I wanted them to. So granted, that's not very ethical, but you know what I mean. So let's fertilize this guy. Deadheading is important, and I should be deadheading more frequently. This is the drawback of having 30 tub ponds, folks. By the way, this little garden cart I have here, I got at Target. Fiskars makes it. It's a garden caddy tote, and it's perfect size. It even has a little slot to put my test kit and my retractable blade knife. Okay, next plant in the neglected tub, as I call it, is going to be the variegated cattail in the back. That is the American cattail in a variegated form. It is not as robust as the standard form, but I'm a sucker for variegated plants. It takes longer to grow, especially because I'm growing it as the main filter and the main thriller. My thriller plants are also my main filters. So, but it looks nice. It's a little airy. It holds up in the wind nicely. I really like it. You can see it's sitting on top of another pond pot, and I do that so I don't displace a lot of water. I like to have it have height, and the roots have gone through the other pot. And I put a hole in the pot for the fish to go through. So I've already taken a cutting of this a couple of weeks ago, so it has been divided already. The algae situation in this tub so far has not been bad. Not a lot of hair algae I'm removing. So when you fertilize, and this goes for fertilizing your Amazon swords too, and any good gardener will tell you, you don't put your tablet right at the crown of the root. You can burn that, especially if you're using a hot fertilizer. So I'm going away, not going right next to the pot because it's perforated. I don't want it to leach out. If it was a solid pot, I'd put the hole right here, right at the side, in between the crown or the rhizome rootstock and the edge of the pot. I'm going to pull out the water hyacinth now. The water hyacinth is probably filled with either baby ricefish or ricefish eggs. I usually just throw it on the ground. I'm going to put it in a pail instead. Always like to give my plants a shake or a tip. I've had fish get stuck in them before and unfortunately found out too late. Yeah, even this water hyacinth is not as green as I like it. So this is the neglected tub live feed. I think I'm going to change the name to. Although I have been fertilizing the waterlily, which we'll talk about now. For those who may have come on to the chat, I wish I could say hello to everyone. I see Jody and Cinnamon Girl. My friend, old friend Tom is here. Welcome everyone. Good morning. So glad to see you, and so looking forward to meeting you guys and knowing you better now when I see you at the Clash. It's getting very exciting. I've been talking about the plants that I've been removing, and I've been talking about some of the tools I use. So if you want to do a replay or scroll back to see what we're doing after it's done, you might learn a few things that will help you fall asleep. I just realized in showing you the Scottish shirt, I kind of mooned everyone right now, but you know, the hell with you. You all deserve it in some way, so. Let's try to do a zoom in on the ricefish. Hold on. Yeah, platinum ricefish, like a lot of Japanese fish, like koi and goldfish, were designed to be viewed from above. and that's the preferred way to view them. So we're going to try to do this now. Again, the Laguna pond net, the hand net, not the retractable kind. My favorite net, even in the fish room. Low drag, because the holes are a little wider. It's got an aluminum handle, so you can rest it right on your tank or right on your pail, act it as a holding tank. But you'll see how fast you can go through the tub without it breaking. Just removing some of the floating algae at first. No fish in there. All the platinums, again, they look better from above. See if we can get a shot from above here, because that's where the iridescence is. And granted, I have a water lily in here. I don't see them as much, because in a full sun tub, I want a water lily. I want to lower the heat. I want to slow down how fast the tub heats up and how fast it cools down, and also prevent sunburn. Fish do get sunburn, believe it or not. But there's a whole, this is just some of them. There's so many more in there. It's such a cool fish. So I use clay bricks in the tub. How do I know they're clay? Because I'm the a-hole who goes to my stone store with a bottle of pH down and puts them on the bricks and listens to them. I'm not invited back to my stone store anymore. But I put them like this to raise plants up, or I put them like this to raise plants up. And I like the holes. They don't displace a lot of water, and they are inert. A lot of bricks you buy now are made of limestone. So you have to be careful, unless you want that, right? Unless you have very soft water. But that was a mistake I made many decades ago when I was tubbing some of my tubs. My first tub, I put a cinder block in there to raise the plant up. The pH went to like a 9.5 by the end of the season. I was keeping limias, so they didn't care, but live and learn. So. This is a very hard tub to do a sweep of because of all the fish in here. There's so many if you're just swimming on the surface right now. But I do want to see, is there a lot of dragonfly larvae, which I don't care about because they're only going to eat the tiniest of new fish or mosquito larvae, and frankly, when they hatch out, if they hatch out, these fish are going to eat them anyway. I just want to see what's going on, how much muck is in there. Do I need to add some algae fix or not? Let's see. We're going to do the classic Rosario LaCourte figure 8 with the Laguna hand pond net. Only about 15-20 bucks at Webb's online. I have 5 of these, by the way. I know. Don't judge. Not a lot of muck. not a lot of muck. So I'm not too worried about this one. Looking for babies is always the issue. Another good thing about this net, the tiny little babies go through, but once the muck covers the net, they get stuck to the muck and you can easily pick them out. But I think because I'm growing all these plants I showed you as filters, I have like no thread algae in here, maybe little tiny pieces. There's pros and cons. There's also a lot of fish in here, and I feed them too, so they're making a lot of waste. So here we go. One little algae or plant I get is this bladderwort, this little stringy bladderwort that came in from my local pond. And this I pick out all summer now. The algae fix actually controls this to an extent as well. But, the little bladders will eat baby fish, but, how many fish do you need? They're spawning all the time. It doesn't really matter. It's more just of a nuisance to get rid of. Okay. Let's fertilize the water lily. Kelly Foreman's going to have fun with this. This is a changeable water lily called Paul Harriet. It's a mini version of Sue. Let's see if I can get the photo here. You can see there. Okay. It is a changeable water lily. So what does that mean when we say changeable? That means that the first day flower will be more very light peach or yellow. Second day more peachy. Third day more red. And that's why they're called changeable. The best changeable is Sioux, Sioux, named after the Native Americans. And Kelly has that now. I sent her some. I got that years ago from Lily Ponds before they also shut down. It's a favorite. It blooms great. This one is only blooming now. I don't know whether I'm going to throw it out. I usually keep my water lilies 2 years. First year, that's for transplant shock. Second year, if you don't perform, you get expelled. But this guy's performing well now late in the season. I may give it a third year. It stays small, which is why I like it. So this water lily pot I like a lot too. Let me see if I can show you. This is indestructible UV resistant plastic designed for lotus and water lily. It's a small pot. It's like a 5-quart, and it's got a lip all around for lifting it. So I love these pots. Now here I'm going to use the dibber along the side of the pot because it's a solid pot. I want it away from the crown. I don't want to get crown burn. Made in Michigan. And again, I have anti-desiccant packet and some calcite clay and maybe a little kitty litter in here to keep them dry and not crumble. Is everyone falling asleep yet? I certainly hope so. That's kind of my goal today. Should I act like Bob Ross? Well, today we're gonna just fertilize this little water lily, and he has a little pickerel friend and a little lizard tail friend right next to him, and they're just hanging out on the landscape. It's actually a day here today. The air quality is bad because of the Canadian wildfires, so it's a little hazy. So the colors look good, and it's not overly bright sun. Probably not the best for me to breathe, but I think we're under 100 on the air index. So I see your post KGE aquatics. You and I'll have it out, pal. Always close up your fertilizer tablet. Look inside to make sure it's not wet. Close it up right away. Why can't you guys be as nice as like Jody P? She's like the most civil person here. But again, she's from Iowa. Everyone from Iowa that I've ever known is like the nicest person on the planet. Jody, remind me at the class to tell you about my visit to Iowa when I was 10 and I went to my first ever tractor pull. Very fond memory as a child. So when Latour Marliac developed his hardy water lilies, the founder of the water lily cultivar movement in France, and his original establishment is still there. It's owned by two English people. He made all his varieties sterile, so people couldn't cross them. We still don't know how he did it, but they do not go to seed. So it's another mystery of Monsieur Latour Marliac, who inspired Monet to paint all his water lilies. And Monet bought all his water lilies from Marliac. And they are still staples of the water lily hobby today. They tend to bloom early. My favorite water lilies are the Kirk Strawn. He was a Texan who developed hardy water lilies in the 80s and 90s, crossing them with Nymphaea mexicana. And that's Colorado, which I showed on the other live stream yesterday, and also on my shorts. So looking at this lily, I can divide this into probably 4 lilies right now. But I'm too old and too lazy. I'm not going to do it. But if anyone wants to trade water lilies with me and Kelly, and I think Nancy too, that would be great for us to all do together. I'll probably use Kelly's approach. She only divides in spring. I think I'm going to start doing that. The survival rate when you divide in spring is a lot better. You know, granted, they get a little out of hand, and I do have to just pull some out. If you look at the video yesterday, you'll see me digging out a division from one of the water lilies, just because it was too pot bound. But I'm not going to bother with this one. Again, outdoor tubbing is lazy fish keeping, and I'm a lazy bastard. So if you go to Lake George, I see some people commenting about Lake George, you have to go to the official Star Trek original series set that was developed by fans about 25 years ago and is sanctioned by Paramount. It's an exact replica. They even sourced the materials from the 1960s. The cast of Star Trek went in there and they start crying because it's so exact. Of course, I went in there and went on the tour and answered all the questions right. Yeah, I know. I didn't get a lot of dates when I was younger. My wife found that quite amusing, by the way. So you'll notice I'm pulling a few of the stems out. You can only do that in a really established plant. You do that in a plant that has a shallow root system, or in spring, you can pull out the entire plant. So I usually prefer to use a razor blade or a pruning knife. All right. You're all going to see my rear end again. You can close your eyes, or you can look at the Scotty shirt. I know, it burns, it burns. You people expect too much from me. No appreciation. That's why I became a merman and you didn't help me. All right, let's put the orange sunset loosestrife spiller plant up next. I'm gonna put the brick this way. Now for the big boy filter, the variegated American cattail, which is stuck to an upside down perforated pot to raise it up. The roots have grown through it. It's the primary filter, and it's probably why this tub doesn't have an algae problem. Now for the lizard tail, I don't have to raise this up. It can go down 12 inches. I spoke about it earlier in the stream. All these plants I spoke about in more detail earlier in the stream if you want to look at them. But I'm raising it up so its height differential is the same as the pickerel that I'm going to put on here. So it's more of a design element. Look at the chat here as I turn around. Tub twerking time, very funny, Tom. Oh God, Tom Galooly. Never ceases to crack me up. Folks, I'll tell you what, we'll do a treat. After we're done here, I'm almost done. I'm going to give you a tour of what's flowering. I've got 6 tubs on this deck. I got some nice flowers going. I'll just do that as soon as I finish this. So this is my thread algae tool. It's a bamboo pole. If I had a lot of hair algae, I would twirl it and spin it around the tub at the same time. Essentially, you make cotton candy because thread algae loves to stick to the thread algae. And then I use the Suharki apparatus on the other side, which is a toothbrush taped to the other side to get in between the plants if there's thread algae in there. Not been a problem in this tub. Pond thermometers. Pond thermometers. They generally suck. The ones at the pool store are generally more accurate. The trouble is because they put a piece of paper inside, and if that paper shifts, it doesn't work. This one works because I tested it, but I have to test them every year. The ones at the pool store often have the gradients painted on, and those are going to be a little more accurate, I find, and cheaper too. It's more of that bladderwort that I'm just going to pick off before I put it back in the tub. There we go. Yeah, I think, you know, these plants, the way I've set them up in baskets, they've sucked so many nutrients out of the pond. My water hyacinth isn't flowering in this tub. So that's how effective they've been as filters. So if you're keeping fish outside that you really want to make sure you have high water quality, this is an approach to do. Not an approach needed for rice fish. So I'm going to do more of Kelly and Steven's approach next year, and plant some more in dirt. That's the great thing about this hobby. You know, there's no one right way of doing anything. Anyone who tells you there's one right way of keeping fish or a tub, just smack them in the head for me, please. So you'll notice how I'm trying to do the pondscape here. I'm doing the golden triangle. The water hyacinth is shifted towards the left and one piece on the right. That's your golden triangle. Other than that, it's a fairly symmetrical tub. Let's see if we can get a decent shot here of it now. Okay. I'm going to add some sludge enzymes and bacteria. I got this from API. I used it last year. It actually worked. It keeps your tubs from smelling, because remember, you're not doing water changes. So I add this during the summer, during late summer especially. It seems to work well. API is a privately run company. This is one thing I like about API and Seachem. They're not beholden to corporate Wall Street masters. They're owned by the Mars Company, the people who make M&Ms. And a bunch of other products. Mars is the second largest family-owned business in the world, and Aquarium Pharmaceuticals is one of their businesses. So they're not beholden to quarter earnings. They don't even report them. They don't have to. So they still have an R&D wing in API in Waltham, England, and in Chalfont, Pennsylvania, where they actually test their stuff, including their foods and stuff like that. Someone mentioned, Steven said, why the API fertilizer does not work. And I spoke to Gary Jones, who was the guy in charge of the API marketing. And he said, there's so many regulations when you call something a fertilizer that they just didn't even bother. That's why it has such a low dose concentration. There's a lot of unscrupulous people selling fertilizers that are not supposed to be selling them. But that's just a little fun bureaucratic fact for you. This is just bacteria, and enzymes. I'm going to add just a standard dose of algae fix to just knock back some of the bladderwort and any little bits of algae that are in there, because I'm not going to revisit this tub until I tear it down. Because it's ricefish, I'm not going to tear this down until probably November. I'm going to test for KH now. It's been real hot, so I want to put water into the tub. Am I going to use the rain barrels that I have installed around my entire house with overflows? Or am I going to use my well water, which is also it comes out at like a 6.9 with only like 3 degrees hardness? I have a neutralizer that I can turn on and off. Or am I going to use my neutralized tap water, which is hard? This is going to tell me what I should add to this. That's a KH of 1 or 0. What you find with tub ponds, I found this too, the KH drops rapidly, not just because of the rain. It just gets used up a lot. And so I'm going to add tap water to this once we're done with the stream. My tap water is like 7.2, and the KH is about a 10 on that. And that'll bring the buffering capability. I know it's ricefish, but remember, in your tub, it's not just ricefish in there. There's good bacteria. There's arca, I hope. There's other plankton and other organisms, many of which have microshells. I want to keep the whole ecosystem going. So I want the KH up to at least a 2 to buffer. That's generally my goal. If the KH is below a 2, I'm going to add my hard tap water. If the KH was above a 2, I'll add the rainwater if I have any. And there you have it, a ferted tub. I'm still on the Whips World regimen. I'm drinking water with bourbon. Kind of like it, actually. Ta-da, platinum ricefish tub. I will probably not fertilize this. I always debate. I mean, Kelly and I, we both fertilized our water lilies last time around September 1st. Pete Nietzsche, he stops in late August. A lot of water lily experts stop in August because once you have to, when the cold weather comes, they start bringing the nutrients down from their leaves into the rhizome, and they metabolize and get ready for winter storage. If you fertilize them, they don't do that, right? It's so you want to actually stop fertilizing. So I might just stop now. That might be my last one. Maybe I'll fertilize again in 3 weeks. Maybe in late August I might do that. But you get a better water lily next year if you actually don't fertilize to the bitter end. So I'm gonna take my phone off the top here, and let's see if we can do something else. All right, let's go around and see what's going on here. I'll show you a few other things. Stargrass is looking good, as you see. That's the stargrass. I'm not mic'd here. I don't like to mic myself when I do this. I'll be huffing and puffing. Aquatic mint, no flowers yet. They're coming. I have blind cave tetras in that tub. This is Helvola. It opens later in the day. Helvola opens late, but will flower with only a few hours of sun. So this are these cichlids. Tom Galuli, Alishan helped me out. This is, it used to be Archocentris septifasciatum. Tinalapina is the new genus, and I've got a pair in here. I haven't seen any fry yet. This is a neat little spiller plant. This is Linderna grandifloria. And look at these cute little flowers it makes. It's sold as a steppable. Here is the giant pickerel. I just dropped a video showing all the blooms in July, and this is the one I showed. This is a great pickerel plant. It gets up to 5 feet tall. This is a shade tub with the spiller. If you saw Jody's birthday video, this is in here. This is a great plant. This is a carex. If you know garden carexes, this is an aquatic carex. I love that plant. And this is bloody dock, also known as sorrel, which is edible, but it has a lot of oxalic acid. This is filled with hornwort from my killifish tank inside. Penny Panchex Osiris, or is it Fundula Panchex? Scotty will correct me. And I'm trying to get fry out of there. Let's see what else is going on the deck tubs. There's my sunflowers. Let's get a better view of Paul Harriet. And you can see all the little rice fish. There you are. Down there. A lot of glare, so it's hard to see them all. All right, let's go a little further. What else is going on? Of course, Creeping Jenny, probably the best spiller plant for making any tub look better. And I always have to keep pulling it out like that. This is where I put my cuttings. I take cuttings and I just put them in yogurt cups and I bring them to the auction. And if I see some of you at the Clash, if there's a plant you saw that you like, let me know and I'll bring one for you. And this just opened today. Tom Galuli, Ali Shan, you have this as well. This is a Lyciana. And that is an old Marliac-ish water lily. It's a hardy. And my society garlic is blooming today. This, you can smell this from approaching the tub. That's edible. Nice little variegated spiller plant. And of course, the Thalia delbeta with the big flower stalk on top that is going away, that the hummingbirds like. Other tubs down on the deck, you can see those are the stock tanks for the tetras, rainbow fish fry tubs. Cats are fighting in the forest. Dogs and cats sleeping together. Mass hysteria. This is my goldfish tub down there. That's a sunken tub. I have a sunken tub because my wife couldn't use the space, and before she could finish the sentence, I was digging a hole. I do not like sunken tubs. I don't like getting on my belly to enjoy my fish, but good for goldfish. Stays really cold. Even when it's hot, that tub being sunken and half shaded stays in the 70s, even when there's a heat wave. So I think that's it for now. Those are some of the tubs that are in the video I dropped last night that you can see. So folks, I am going to bid you all a fond adieu. Thank you for stopping by today with me and let me babble on. I'm going to sit down and see if there's any questions. Why don't I do that? Good morning. Ted, are you single? No, I'm not. I'm sorry. Ted, can you entertain at my son's birthday party? No, I'm not going to do that. Ted, if I paid you $2,000, would you bury a hooker for me? Yeah, sure, I would do that. Ted, do you occasionally feed the rice fish in that tub? Yeah, I do. Because I'm just on here feeding the fish anyway, because I have some weird Divarios spawning in one of the tubs, so I'll just feed them when I get there. I should test my KH in my tubs. Yes, we miss Gary since he moved. Ted, can you a backflip into the pool from the deck rail? Yeah, Tom, I could. I'll see you at my wake. Yeah, I like Creeping Jenny, Jody. It's an invasive plant, but if you pot it, it's not really invasive. And you can get that golden variety at any garden center. Let me see, close to Albany. Any other? Do frogs hurt your tub at all, Cinnamon Girl? They do lay tadpoles in the tub, and one reason why I just did this sweep, you'll notice there were no tadpoles in that tub. The rice fish devoured them. If there were any launch in there, they ate the eggs. So one of the reasons of doing a sweep all the time is to see if you could kind of eliminate some of the tadpoles. And I often go out at night with a flashlight and grab them and remove them that way during the spring. I have northern gray tree frogs. They retreat in mid-July back up into the trees and stop spawning. They spawn to about July 1st for about a month here. My whole area I showed you is like Plato's retreat. if you come here at nighttime. Um, Living in New York made you mean, KG. No, KG, it didn't make you mean, it made you real. New Yorkers, I'm a native New Yorker, so is Ali Shan. We keep it real. And you got to respect that, man. I respect you. Oh, Jody, your air quality is improving. Yeah, I looked at the map, Jody, and the air quality from up in Manitoba fires, it's hooking east to me. So I'm glad to hear that you can breathe again because you guys are outside so much. I was actually thinking about you two the other day about what it must be like on the farm there. Yeah, the clash is going to be filled with rice fish. I'm trying to breed a koi morph that came up, and I'm trying to see what I get from him. Just going through here, looking forward to meeting everyone too. What kind of fish? I said that one. And any other questions here at the end? Oh, Tom, you found the African copper tetrafry. Oh my God, really? Tom Galuli, also known as Ali Shan here. Please call him Tom when you see him at the clash. He's such an amazing master breeder, and he went to tetras from African cichlids. He has so many weird tetras in his fish room. I drool when I go there, and he puts them outside. So you remember when I told everyone, have faith in your fish and know the purpose of your plants? Don't be afraid to put out delicate fish outside. The bigger risk is keeping your fish in an aquarium, right? That's not their natural state. Their natural state is outside. They're safer outside than they are inside. I'll talk more about that at the clash. But Tom, that's really great. Yeah, Jody, I had a lot of haze too. We need to call him Tom Galooly and use his full name every time we see him. Yes. Hello, Tom Galooly. How are you today, Tom Galooly? Tom Galooly, have a seat. So anyway, so I think that we're done with the questions. So thanks everyone for, hope I made your morning a little bit easier, or at least I distracted you from something unpleasant. Unfortunately, you're looking at me, so now you have something unpleasant again. But I really look forward to seeing everyone in September. Send me your song requests for our campfire. If you see any plants here that you like, let me know. If you're going to be at the clash, I'll see if I can have some cuttings to bring you. And we'll start an exchange. Um, so take care, everyone. Bye-bye now.